can tell her her subject had no bread. Do you know what she said?
Let them eat cake.
Here, take the bomb.
We're getting screwed, man. Every time we turn around, we're getting screwed. Oh, the revolution's going to be through podcasting for sure. That's the only way we talk. It's the little guys that take the brunt of everything. It's got to stop. Peasants, man. We're just peasants. Every one of us. You watch those old movies, you see the peasants in the background with the kings and queens walking around. We're those people. We're those people. Good morning, peasants. Welcome to another episode of The Peasant's Perspective. I can't believe I got this pulled off today. I'm all by myself. I don't know where Ron is. I don't know if he's coming in or not. I have no idea. Anyways, I'm here. Yes, we made it. And to start off today, I want to propose to you guys a little something. It's this right here, okay? This is what we are going to embark on today.
What it is. The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. Follow me.
All right. I love this show. The Matrix is one of the best movies ever made. I grew up in a house where we weren't allowed to watch rated R movies. That's right, Dad. You never let us watch rated R movies. And so when I was, I don't know, whenever The Matrix came out and it was in theaters, couldn't have been 13, 14, something like that. My dad took me to my first ever rated R movie to watch The Matrix. And I walked out of there being like, I'm going to dodge bullets. It's pretty crazy. Anyways, that is a great movie. We are living in the Matrix. It's all around us. Today, just like I'm always doing, I'm going to show you a little bit of the Matrix. It blows my mind. Last Friday, I had a pretty frustrating show, to say the least. Technical issues, the internet in the building or the Wi-Fi, I don't know, something crashed and I had no internet and it wasn't coming back on. So the show got cut a little bit short. Obviously, last Thursday, there was that hit piece in the Wall Street Journal where they accused Donald Trump of being on the Epstein list, and he sent a picture to Jeffrey Epstein. Oh my gosh, really? Even if the picture is what it is, it's like, doesn't matter. This is the guy who had the Access Hollywood tape, grab him by the, and so who cares? Like, we're way past that. But either way, it created kind of a media firestorm. And of course, leading up to that, right? Everybody, including myself, we're like, well, Trump's covering up for Epstein. I obviously play the fence a little bit more because I'm like, I don't know that we understand Epstein enough to really know what we're asking for disclosure of. I mean, for all we know, according to one of his victims, he might be a reptilian. Anyways, on Thursday, they ran that piece, and that actually kind of consolidated MAGA. It was like pretty obvious that this was an attack piece. And of course, it did push Trump to ask Pam Bondi to go and petition the court to be able to release all of the grand jury information, which I don't know that we're going to get a lot of information from that. I don't know. It might be kind of salacious and ugly, but my guess is that's probably limited to what they presented in trial. Either way, we'll see. We're going to tie into that a little bit today, because on Friday, after my internet crashed, there was an unbelievable revelation by Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard released over 100 documents detailing the Russiagate fraud and how it started with Barack Obama. This is something that we've known. For those of us that have been awake, that took the red pill a long time ago, right? This is 10 years of watching this unfold. Somebody on Twitter yesterday commented, let me actually see if I can find the comment, because it kind of caught me, didn't really catch me off guard, but it was kind of one of those things where I looked at it and I was like, this doesn't seem very good. So let me see if I can find it real quick. Might take a second. I didn't plan on sharing this, but somebody on Twitter said, okay, so there's this post. Let me share my screen so you can see it. Okay. So right here, you see Mike Davis posted, the Trump 45 DOJ, including FBI and DNI, had access to the same evidence on Crossfire Hurricane. Crossfire Hurricane is the investigation that the FBI did into Donald Trump. They sat on Crossfire Hurricane evidence for 3 years. Why? Because we had naive and weak leaders who didn't understand and feared the deep state. So that was what Mike Davis said. He goes, Rick Grinnell and Kash Patel made heroic efforts to uncover Crossfire Hurricane evidence after Trump appointed them as the number 1 and number 2 at DNI. On February 20th, 2020, Trump declassified Crossfire Hurricane evidence the day before he left office. The Trump 45 DOJ, including 40 FBI, allowed the deep state to obstruct Trump's public release of these damning Crossfire Hurricane records, claiming they needed to do a Privacy Act review. Trump could have disclosed them in his civil lawsuit versus Hillary in the Southern District of Florida. Did Magistrate Bruce Reinhart? Who's Magistrate Bruce Reinhart? He's the one he started to bring the suit with, who recused himself. He was forced to recuse himself from the case for his anti-Trump Facebook posts. Did he tip off the Bidens, DOJ's Jay Bratt, or anyone else? Because if you remember, he recused himself on one case and then days later sat and authorized the warrant to raid Mar-a-Lago. So why was he able to, why was he required to recuse himself for his anti-Trump bias and then turn around and authorize a warrant on Donald Trump, who's not just an ordinary citizen, mind you. He's the former president of the United States. Biden ordered the illegal Mar-a-Lago raid using the Espionage Act as the shocking pretext. And Bruce Reinhart signed the unprecedented and unlawful search warrant to get back damning Crossfire Hurricane presidential records Trump was allowed to have under the Presidential Records Act. How did Reinhart's recusal problem go away 6 weeks prior? So 6 weeks, right? But did Biden get back damning Crossfire Hurricane records? Maybe that's why Biden spent the next 2.5 years attempting to imprison Trump 4 times and bankrupt Trump and even get Trump killed twice and throw Trump off the ballot. Justice is coming because of DNI Gabbard and Pam Bondi, Todd Blanche, Kash Patel, Harmeet Dillon, and Chad Melise and Bongino, and many other bold and fearless leaders in the Trump 47 administration. So this gentleman, Phil Holloway, Esquire, I don't really know who this guy is. He says, I still don't have my heat. I'm assuming that's head. I do typos all the time on Twitter, and you can't really edit things very well. Wrapped around Crossfire Hurricane. I'm glad you do, but there's so many tentacles that I need to read the idiot's guide. Oh, buddy, you took the blue pill. You took the blue pill. It blew my mind because I have a very good friend, and every Sunday we have a standing lunch appointment at Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm an MVP there. I actually have a little plaque on one of the tables. It says Taylor J6, Man of Honor. So I was going to Buffalo Wild Wings with him, and I talked to him every week about politics. We did this before I went to prison. He saw the whole thing transpire. He stayed vigilant while I was in prison, and as soon as we got back, we went right back to Buffalo Wild Wings to get back to that normalcy. Open invitation about it anyway. Anybody ever wants to join us at Buffalo Wild Wings on Sunday? Let me know. And so anyways, I was like, hey, did you hear about that Epstein thing with Trump? Oh, no, I haven't really. Oh, okay. Hey, did you hear about the stuff Tulsi Gabbard released? No, I have no idea. No clue. I'm like, all right. And I know he's my bestest buddy, but, kind of a blue pill taker. He's just going to see what he sees on his normal social media feed. And he's not really interested in politics outside of our discussions. So a lot of people have taken that blue pill. So when this guy says, oh my gosh, there's a lot to wrap my mind around. I know it's been 10 years. So this is what I said. I said, don't feel bad. Some have been following from day one, 10 years now. Every painful revelation, all pointing in one direction. We'll forgive you. You have 10 years catching up to do. This is what J6ers viewed as the culmination of the coup. I personally wrote the crime is complete. And this was, in my mind, the running coup that had been going on since Spygate, right? Since the very beginning, which we covered on the podcast as more and more revelations were unfolding in 2020. And of course, COVID was going on. To me, it's all tied in together. They all are kind of their own separate scandals, and people involved with them have their own separate culpability and liability, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But overall, I've mentioned this from season 1 all the way till now. There's only like 1,000 or so people that are pulling the strings of power. And those 1,000 or so people, or maybe a few less if you're talking about this specific coup, are the ones who oversaw it all and kind of understood how all the pieces meant together. So I said, now you know why they tried to bury us, it being J6ers, but Trump never forgot. So yeah, that was something I commented on this week. Okay, let's take a look at the chats. Whedon boys, good morning. Of course, red one. Yes, got to take that red pill. Frazier, good morning. John Atakis, we have Vid Angel for movies now. Yeah, yes, that's good. That's excellent. I watched the movie 300 on Vid Angel once. And first of all, couldn't understand the plot. So much got cut out because they said it for like gore and stuff. Entire segments of the fight scenes. It was like, so what's this whole like Thermopylae? What'd they do there? Like you didn't get to see any of it. Anyways. All right. Debbie B, good question. Recuse yourself, then get back into the heart of it. Exactly. There's a lot of suspicion around that Judge Reinhardt. Really makes you wonder. Thank you for joining me, you guys, today on the chat. Appreciate it. You're keeping me company here. You guys are my ombudsman. I don't have anybody to laugh at my jokes like Ron does. So please, please, please comment. Okay, one more video here. This is Barack Obama's press secretary. If I can do a little nifty trick here, I'm going to try something just to make it more convenient for me. Okay, because I think if I do this, it'll actually look better on the video view. Okay, so here we go. Awesome. Wow, look, it went straight to full screen. You didn't have to see my Twitter. That's like a pet peeve of mine, is to show the whole Twitter background and everything. X, excuse me. Don't want to be wrong there. Okay, so this is Barack Obama's White House press secretary at the end of Barack Obama's term. This is after they coordinated the Crossfire Hurricane coup that we have been living through.
I'll say two other things about this. I know that they also object to the idea, something that I said yesterday, that somehow, I made the observation yesterday that Mr. Trump was obviously aware of the fact that Russia was engaged in malicious cyber activity, and that malicious cyber activity was having a negative impact on his opponent's campaign and was boosting his. He's not the only person that knew that. That was something that was being widely reported and was evident to anybody who was reading the newspaper. I don't know exactly what source he was using. He could have been relying on news reports. Maybe somebody on Capitol Hill who had been briefed about this matter had informed him or his team about it. It's also possible that he consulted with one of his closest aides, Roger Stone, who back in July 27th to be precise, tweeted, quote, "Of course the Russians hacked at Hillary Clinton's email." So again, I don't know if it was a staff meeting or he had access to a briefing or he was just basing his assessment on a large number of published reports. But Mr. Trump obviously knew that Russia was engaged in malicious cyber activity that was helping him and hurting Secretary Clinton's campaign. And again, these are all facts that are not in dispute.
Oh, fact.
This is not
fact.
a situation where we are
okay.
launching charges and countercharges, or I'm offering up my opinion and hoping that it will be considered more persuasive than the opinion that's offered up by somebody else. These are just facts. And
Lying
I'll say two other things
liars.
about this. I know that they also
Lying
object to the.
liars. So Ron, you're back. You made it. Well, you're not really
Woo!
back somewhere else, but you made it. Woohoo! It's good to have you. Okay.
I'm from colorful Colorado.
Ooh. It's colorful. Hey, kind of looks like the Northwest. There's some views of
Yeah, a
Maple
little bit.
Valley that look like that.
Different kind of trees, though.
Different kind of tree. Pine. A lot of pine.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. All right. So Josh Ernst here, Barack Obama's press secretary, every single word out of his mouth was a lie. Every word. The Russians weren't helping Hillary Clinton or help Donald Trump. The Russians didn't hack anything, at least that we have any evidence of. And, we've been following this pretty close for 10 years. The Russians didn't influence the election. Nothing. But that right there is the blue pill. That right there is the Matrix speaking. That guy right there is a Mr. Smith in the movie The Matrix. His job is to keep you in. They show up anywhere, these apparatchiks, and they're like, oh, follow the narrative. Oh, what are you, a conspiracy theorist? Yeah, we're batting like 1,000 at this point. I mean, literally, we've even had revelations about the reptilians, which makes the Epstein thing just absolutely nutty because I can't dismiss it outright. Yes, Tiffany and Carlito, the Matrix is so dirty. Yes, it is. So, Ron, tell me, did you get up to speed on all the nonsense that's happened this weekend? All the releases of all the 100 pieces of intelligence showing that Barack Obama started a coup against Donald Trump?
No, I
You
have
haven't heard
not.
Tulsi Gabbard referred Barack Obama, James Clapper, John Brennan, Lisa Monaco. You didn't hear that she referred these people to the Department of Justice for seditious conspiracy and treason on a criminal referral? You didn't hear this?
No.
None of this.
No.
This is what I'm talking about. Ron, take the red pill, buddy. Take the red pill. I remember one time in season 1, you're like, man, I thought this was a conspiracy show. I'm like, conspiracy though? This is news commentary, man. This is like mainstream stuff. Apparently, I have a really cutting edge echo chamber is the way I see it. Absolutely wild. Okay, Ron. So here's the deal. This is what we got going on here.
So we're actually getting some actual real action?
Oh, buddy, we are getting something. We are getting
Okay.
somewhere. This is one of the most exciting episodes I've ever done. This is the episode I dreamed of doing in 2020. This is the episode that I would lay in my bed in prison as a victim of this coup. Lisa Monaco, the people present at that meeting, were directly in line in my personal prosecution. They were part of the leadership team making decisions on my case. There was a point where they said, we have to go consult the leadership team, who included one of these coup plotters. Okay?
And I decided to go on vacation, huh?
Dude, I would lay in bed and I would think, how could I explain this to people? Will there ever be the evidence? How can I tell this story on how I'm involved in one of the greatest coups? I mean, we're talking the murder of Caesar level of historical event, okay? And I'm either a hero or a villain. If you took the blue pill, I'm a hero insurrectionist trying to prevent the rightful president, Joe Biden, from coming into office. And yes, it was about the election. And yes, it was about COVID. And yes, it was about him being a bad leader and all that stuff. But more than anything, it was about the fact that they had taken out the elected president of the United States with this running coup, 2 impeachments, a COVID plot, the Spygate, the Mueller report, followed by a Durham delay. All of this stacked up into what led to most January 6ers to go to January 6th, right? I said on Twitter, the crime is complete. This was the crime, the coup, to take power back from the people, the populist movement, and Donald Trump and everything that represents. That's what I saw. 100% validated. 100% validated.
Excellent.
Ron, your mind is going to be blown when I show you the stuff that Trump has been putting on his Twitter, on his Truth Social this weekend. Okay. So we're going to slow down though. Oh, I got to make sure my computer's plugged in. We're going to slow down though. And we're going to make sure we get all this laid out. So here is Tulsi Gabbard again. Let me make sure I got the right one. Okay. So this is Donald Trump. Just no, I'm getting way ahead of myself. I already have my thing out here. I got to follow my path. I've planned this. This is a very strategic presentation. Okay, so this is Donald Trump talking about how he caught it. This is a little narrative.
All right.
I shared the wrong page. So it was going to be so smooth. Yeah, we're definitely not AI guys. Definitely not. Here we
Ah, volume.
go. What's going on? You're doing so good. Stop screen share.
Presentation. Who started it? Oh, there we go.
Okay. Here's Donald Trump in his first term, getting ready to get on to Marine One, talking about
I think in light of all of the things going on, and you know what I mean by that, the fake news, the Comeys of the world, all of the bad things that went on, it's called the swamp. And you know what happened? And you know what I did? A big favor. I caught the swamp. I caught them all. Let's see what happens. Nobody else could have done that but me. I caught all of this corruption that was going on, and nobody else could have done it. I think in light of all of the...
He caught the swamp. No one else could have done it. So here's what Tulsi Gabbard put out this weekend. Okay, on Friday, keep in mind the Wall Street Journal hit piece, which sounds like it was a really poorly done hit piece, put this about Donald Trump and Epstein. That's what we covered on Friday before he got cut off. I think that's going to be a go nowhere story. It's going to be purely, MSNBC is going to talk about it. I haven't seen hardly anything mentioned about it on my X feed this weekend. This is what she released. Americans will finally learn the truth. She released over 100 documents, including a bunch of graphics like this showing it. Americans will finally learn the truth about how the 2016 intelligence was politicized and weaponized by the most powerful people in the Obama administration, by the groundwork that was essentially a years-long coup against President real Donald Trump, subverting the will of the American people and undermining the democratic process. So here's what she's got here. So here you've got the creation of the Russian hoax. So there was a real intel assessment, and that intel assessment said that Russian actors did not impact the recent U.S. election results by conducting cyber attacks on infrastructure. So that was the accusation, that they had, come in and swap votes. So that assessment was written. That assessment was written right after the election, and like we're talking November, whatever it was. Rather than send that to the presidential daily brief, which would have gone to President-elect Donald Trump and Obama, they pulled that. They canceled the presidential daily brief for that day. So right here, you see the POTUS briefing was canceled on December 6th. Then they had a secret Russia meeting. This is where Lisa Monaco, Andrew McCabe, Comey, Brennan, Clapper, all the characters that we've been talking about over and over again, the people that I say, remember the names. They introduced the Obama order where he told the IC to go and write the assessment showing that Russia interfered in the election. Barack Obama directed them to do that. And then state leaking started happening. And that's where you get the HuffPost, you get the Washington Post, NBC, ABC News, the entire blue pill narrative that the mainstream has been running with was that they didn't spy on his campaign. Okay. And then that fake weaponized assessment led to the Russia hoax, which is what we've been living through. It's been one continuous thing: Russia hoax, Ukraine gate, COVID, 2020 election, January 6th, classified documents case. Everything led from this. It all, after this happened, when Trump wasn't impeached on the first time, it became a continuous cover-up simultaneously with pursuit of continuance of the coup. So that is what was happening here. So let's listen to Tulsi Gabbard.
And that's what it felt like to us the whole time, right?
It did, man. It did to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's listen to Tulsi Gabbard here, and she was on Maria Bartiromo's show. She's done a couple appearances this weekend on the news. She kind of made it around, obviously mostly on conservative media, because MSNBC can't quite swallow this one yet because they're in on it.
The implications of this are frankly nothing short of historic. Over 100 documents that we released on Friday really detail and provide evidence of how this treasonous conspiracy was directed by President Obama just weeks before he was due to leave office, after President Trump had already gotten elected. This is not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is an issue that is so serious it should concern every single American because it has to do with the integrity of our democratic republic. What we saw occur here, as the documents we released detailed, was that we had a sitting president of the United States and his cabinet and leadership team, quite frankly, who were not happy with the fact that President Trump had won the election, that the American people had chosen Donald J. Trump to be the next president commander-in-chief of the United States. And so they decided that they would do everything possible to try to undermine his ability to do what voters tasked President Trump to do. So creating this piece of manufactured intelligence that claims that Russia had helped Donald Trump get elected, contradicted every other assessment that had been made previously in the months leading up to the election that said exactly the opposite, that Russia had neither the intent nor the capability to try to, quote unquote, hack the United States election for the presidency of the United States. So the effect of what President Obama and his senior national security team did was subvert the will of the American people, undermining our democratic republic and enacting what would be essentially a years-long coup against President Trump, who was duly elected by the American people.
Wow. We've been talking around that. We've been talking about that, but of course we lack the hard substantial evidence. So this is what, I've got to share from a different computer.
Well, I'll just say wow too. I've been waiting for something like this to happen for years and never thought it was going to happen. So this is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm finally going to be able to tell some of my family, like, hey, check it out.
Okay, now I'm unable to share screen on this.
Oh,
how do I do it?
Toggle your presentation thing on and off, maybe.
Yeah, I was doing that earlier. Okay, well, either way. All right, so I'm not going to show the Truth Social because I'm logged in on a different computer for that, but I am going to show you over here on this screen. I'm going to show you the X stuff. So this is right here. So Trump posted things like this weekend. Trump posted both of these on his Truth Social. I think it's pretty safe to say that Trump wants people arrested, and Tulsi's message might backs that up. You are welcome to doubt whether or not it will happen, but Trump seems to be normalizing the idea that arrests must happen. So here, look at this. How did Samantha Powers make all the money? The Shady Bunch. John Brennan, Barack Obama, Ben Rhodes, James Comey, Valerie Jarrett, Susan Rice, Samantha Power, James Clapper. Yeah. How about this? Donald Trump tweets, Jared Marsh's tweet. He goes, I agree with @RepLuna. Until this happens, nothing will change. Okay. So Trump's he was all over it this weekend. I'm telling you, it was like
Christmas.
Well, who knows if any accountability is going to happen, right? But at the same time, at least now I can say, hey, listen, look at this show. That's why I was in prison right here. Donald Trump also shared this. This right here is mind-blowing to me. So Anonymous, who some people have heard of, right? So Anonymous was kind of a little bit before Q, but they were super far left, like kind of in the Anonymous was synonymous with like WikiLeaks. Anonymous would take WikiLeaks things and kind of release them. So then Q happened, and Anonymous kind of I don't know. I didn't see much. I'm sure they had some videos. And again, anybody can be anonymous. Like you put on the Guy Fawkes mask and boom, you're anonymous. So, but then after Q kind of stopped ever posting, then Anonymous started posting kind of similar type things, Russiagate. So this is something that Donald Trump put on his Truth Social this weekend. This is how he is disclosing to the world kind of the storyline for, I guess, the internet trolls, because a lot of internet trolls aren't going to go watch Tulsi Gabbard on Fox News, but they'll watch this.
Speculation. This is documented fact. For years, they told us Trump was the threat to democracy, but the real threat was the attempt to remove him.
The president posted this video.
On December 9, 2016, inside the Obama White House,
I thought maybe he was going to have the mask on.
Present were CIA Director John Brennan, DNI James Clapper, FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, and several senior officials. Barack Obama was there, and what they discussed would become the most coordinated political deception in U.S. history. Just days earlier, an internal intelligence community report concluded Russia had not altered the outcome of the 26th election. On December 7, DNI Clapper reaffirmed it. Quote, foreign adversaries did not use cyber attacks on critical infrastructure to alter the U.S. presidential election outcome. End quote. But that wasn't the story the Obama administration wanted. So after that White House meeting, Clapper's executive assistant sent out an email. The order: prepare a new intelligence assessment, one that aligned with the president's request. That's right. Intelligence was politicized at the highest levels under the direction of a sitting president to frame the incoming one. They buried prior reports. They inflated the Steele dossier. They reversed conclusions, and they launched the January 6, 2017 Intelligence Community Assessment, used to trigger investigations, media hysteria, FISA warrants, and ultimately impeachment. It was a soft coup. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has now declassified the emails, memos, and reports. In her words, this was a treasonous conspiracy orchestrated by Barack Obama and carried out by key members of his administration. General Flynn calls it the greatest crime in American history. Others are demanding arrests, indictments, and immediate action from the DOJ, because if this stands, our constitutional republic falls. We now have names. We have documents. We have sworn testimony. No more theories, only accountability. My friends, we are all anonymous, and we speak for the silenced, and we are awake, and we are everywhere, and we will not stop until the truth is reckoned with. This is not
the president posted that, man.
I thought maybe it was going to be the president with the mask on going,
It probably
Obama
is.
was in the office.
I caught them all. We are anonymous. This is MAGA. Oh my
Yeah.
God, dude. Again, I have a steak dinner on the line with my former business partner, brother-in-law, when Trump way back in like 2022 posted the picture of all of those characters behind bars. When did the trials for treason begin? He's like, it never happened. I might make good on this. Just take dinner before this presidency's over. Because, his thing was, I ain't ever buying you a steak dinner because none of those people are going to prison. I said, if even one of them goes to prison, if even one of those pictures of the people go to prison, you buy me a steak dinner. He's like, yes. So I'm gonna make good on that. I got a feeling one of them is going to go down. Oh, man. So it's another thing too I want to point out here, because remember, this all ties in together. So what this is, do you remember Lisa Page and Andrew McCabe, the lovers, as Donald Trump calls them? Okay.
Yes.
This is Lisa Page and Peter Strzok's text messages that were shared between them. Now, Lisa Page and Peter Strzok got paid $1 million because these text messages got released. $1 million because of the exposure. Okay. $1 million. I went to prison for 14 months over what they were doing. They did this. They are in line. They set the dominoes up that put me and my friends in prison.
Yep.
Right here, down in this text, it says, I got to get close here. I'm glad it was so superficial. If they start to, this is when they were saying that they're digging into this, like Kash Patel and those guys. I'm glad it was so superficial. If they decide to start digging, we are screwed on trying to protect some of our stuff related to that case. My guess is that we suggested a good news story about the Bureau to remind people that we are still the good guys trying to keep America safe, not political operatives who sway elections. They said that, along with sex messages and, Walmart are stinky people. I can smell them, blah, 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 blah. They said this. Oh, I hope they don't dig. I hope people think that we're good and we're not just trying to sway elections.
Or we're going to
that's
jail.
Apparently what you're doing. You got the 10 most wanted list that goes unaccounted for. Kash Patel comes in and in 60 days gets all 10 of them. Yeah. Clearly, everything going on the 7th floor at the Hoover Building, which why you would name a federal building the Hoover Building, one of the most disgraced bureaucrats ever to take the oath of office.
Well, they named
What were
me
they
after the
doing over
vacuum.
there?
It
Huh?
was after the vacuum.
Yeah.
They're sucking up all the data.
They're sucking up all the data. Yeah. Okay. So this, to kind of tie things together, because remember, everything's in a vacuum. You've got Epstein, you've got the Russia gate, you've got the Ukraine gate, you've got different people get involved at different points, but the same main players play all the way through. And some of those main players, the reason that they're in a position to be part of this running coup is that it goes back to other things that are going on. So this is what General Flynn is alluding to here. I got to figure out a better method of doing this. Okay. So this is what General Flynn is alluding to here when he does his car hit on War Room, one of the largest podcasts in the country, which dwarfs the viewership of MSNBC, CNN, and I wouldn't be surprised if they are bigger than Fox News. Okay. So
I wouldn't be surprised if they're bigger than us.
It'd be shocking. I don't know, maybe. So this is what General Flynn has to say about this. And notice the tie-in with the Epstein. And this, keep in mind, this is probably why there's not been such a rush from the Trump administration to go after Epstein, because it all folds in together.
Most importantly now is to get to the bottom of this, because the Epstein thing will fit into this with the intelligence services. This is why, folks, Tulsi Gabbard has been getting lit up over the last couple of weeks, kept out of meetings because she was working on this with all the other intelligence. She was working on this, and there's certain elements, in particular, let me be blunt. The CIA today tried to thwart this. They tried to stop this. They tried to chop block this. Most importantly now is to get to the bottom of this, because the Epstein thing will fit into this with the intelligence.
The Epstein thing is going to fit into this. That's what I think Trump has going on. He's like, listen, you guys are focused on Epstein. Epstein ties in with Clinton. Clinton ties in with Obama. Obama ties in to all of this. That's the guy. These are all connected, right? It's cover up for cover up for cover up. And a wise man once said about 2,000 years ago, by your fruits ye shall know them. Let me give you just a little example of what one of the fruits of this ongoing coup was that culminated on January 6th and then with the inauguration of Joe Biden and what they unleashed on the American people, right? This was congressional testimony by Ms. Hopper, and she's being asked about the immigration crisis, specifically with the kids. And this is what she has to say.
Committee that the Biden administration, while they were letting all of these unaccompanied minors into the country, and as we've talked about today, they weren't keeping track of them, they issued these kids a hotline that they could call if they had trouble with the sponsor family that they were put with. And you're saying that 65,000 calls to this hotline designated to protect these kids went unanswered? Is that what you're telling this committee?
Yes, sir. One case where a child's call was reporting that grown men were coming into his room at night and they were touching him. Nothing happened with that call. That call went unanswered until this administration took office, went through those 65,000 calls, made follow-ups, conducted a welfare check, and now that child has been rescued and that sponsor has been arrested. These are the safeguards that were put in place, but accountability and oversight was not had. I said that it was hard, it was easier to get a child, yes, than to adopt a dog. You actually had to provide more paperwork to adopt a pet from a pet shelter than you did to sponsor a child.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yesterday was, the fruits.
Well, I didn't even know that was going on.
Because the media doesn't cover it. We're just a conspiracy show. 65,000 calls. We followed up and have arrested people. Oh, I mean, even I kind of missed it a little bit. I mean, I knew it was happening in the background, but yeah, it's not a headline because it's all ties in. We're all, so much of the ecosystem is like Epstein, elite child traffickers. You know where the real problem is? It's 3 doors down in the garage where they have 4 sponsored kids staying. Right. Yeah. And guess who brought them in? The same apparatchiks that you're trying to go and get with the Epstein. That was currency in some form or manner. Right. It wasn't that every one of these elites was participating directly. It was they were facilitating this. It's all ties in together. Epstein was a money launderer and a gun runner all the way running back to the Iran-Contra affair.
Wow.
Right. So the fruits of this, the Epstein thing, all the child trafficking, they all fold in together. This is a massive deal. So what a big undertaking. Yesterday was the 6-month anniversary of me getting out of prison, which it's been a good 6 months. It's been pretty interesting. I got to say, I didn't envision certain things in my life going this way, but at the same time, kind of worked out the way I wanted it to. So to celebrate, yesterday we went and got a dog. And I've always been a pure breed guy, right? I've always got them from like a pure breeder, English lab, stuff like this. Well, I just couldn't bring myself to get a purebred. I had to get a pound dog. I had to get one from the Humane Society. Something about walking in there and seeing these dogs in cells just
I told you not to go in there.
tugged at me, man. It was so hard. I know that day you're like, don't go because of your house. It tugged at me. I've been looking for weeks and weeks and weeks to try to find the right dog. Well, yesterday we found the right dog. We brought her home. Her name's Rose. She's doing pretty well. She's a fast little sucker. Anyways,
You're in trouble.
she plays fetch. That's what I want. I want a dog that plays fetch. Anyways, really fun. But yeah, it took me all day, right? All day to get this dog. It's just a stray that they chipped and spayed or whatever, right? It's like, just give me the dog, man. Like, I'm taking it off your hands. Nope. Paperwork, background check, had to meet all the kids, had to verify the house was safe, all these requirements to get the dog. When she says it was less requirements to get a child, to sponsor a child, than it was to get a dog, that's pretty scary. Because in the scheme of things, it wasn't that hard. But I did have to like sign a contract, fill out a bunch of paperwork, So anyways, again, the tie-in of this is poetic. Now we got to sit and see. Anti-Socialist League says this online. There were memes floating around for a couple years that had a skeleton sitting in a lawn chair with an umbrella cocktail in hand saying, waiting for Democrats to get arrested. Yep, we're still waiting. I mean, we've got a couple. The lady who pushed someone in New Jersey, that was nice to see, But at the same time, there's definitely calls from the Trump administration to get something done. Now it's a matter of the DOJ, Pam Bondi, and all the people there can actually get something done. So the other thing so if you look at this here, let me just share this with you guys. This was kind of our roadmap in season 1 that we were kind of working off. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene said, the Spygate poster, and this is from Epic Times, hung in my office during the 2020 campaign when I first ran for office. Epic Times did an incredible job creating it. Hopefully we see accountability. So this poster here kind of details through the reporting that Epic Times did kind of how this Spygate Russia collusion narrative culminated. And if you go through, when I say remember the names, these are the names that I always want people to remember. And as the story continued,
the podcast wall. We should get one of those for the podcast wall.
Yeah, we should. You used to be able to buy it as a poster. Maybe you still can.
Yeah, I bet so.
But these are the names you remember. And a lot of these names continued on into the Biden administration, right? Some of these guys went to the different Brookings and Harvard and all these different, left-winged areas. And then they came back into the Biden administration, a lot of them, because it was an ongoing running coup. They were taking power from we the people, clearly, and the American president. It's just stunning. The other thing that happened this weekend was Donald Trump posted a truth with Adam Schiff showing his mortgage fraud. So he actually posted the document that Adam Schiff signed saying that his primary residence was in Maryland. Does anything sound off about that? Adam Schiff being in Maryland?
Well, he's a senator in California.
Yeah, and they're barred from claiming their residence outside of their home state. So he committed mortgage fraud. It's just kind of a black and white mortgage fraud issue. And so he's calling for prosecutions of that. And this is what Stephen Miller says about Adam Schiff. I keep doing this in the wrong order. This is what Stephen Miller says about Adam Schiff, who, again, is part of this ongoing coup. I don't know that he was directly involved in creating it, but he was definitely involved in pushing it. He's the one who would come out and say, I saw the evidence of Russia collusion. And it's like, I saw it. It's there. It was in the skiff. I saw it. You can trust me. Nope, you didn't. You saw the opposite. So this is what Stephen Miller has to say about Adam Schiff.
Adam Schiff is not only a stone cold, hopeless loser, but he is one of the most corrupt, one of the most shameful, one of the most heinous individuals ever to serve in public office in America. And everything he's devoted his life to has been debunked, discredited, and discarded. He literally represents the face of failure. His sole achievement in life was fighting a losing war against Donald Trump. And now President Trump is in the White House, and Adam Schiff is the leader of a dying and dethroned movement. This is, I mean, it really is amazing. Think about what the Democrat Party is fighting against. What are they trying to stop? Adam Schiff.
Adam Schiff is a stone cold loser. Love it.
Agree.
There's so many people like Adam Schiff. I guess there's somebody that has actually investigated Adam Schiff, and they're like, oh yeah, so the mortgage fraud thing they discovered and have pushed it up, and now it's in the DOJ as a criminal referral. It's actually in the DOJ as a criminal referral now. Okay, from the housing direct Polte, I can't remember. He's not HUD, but he's Secretary of Housing or whatever it is. So mortgage fraud, they say they've got him stone cold on insurance fraud. They've got him stone cold on tax fraud. They got him on a whole bunch of things. So, you know, you make the bed you sleep in is the way you kind of got to look at that. So we'll see. Again, like skeletons in the yard, we wait to see if they actually do anything. Yeah. Metal is good. You put a bunch of emojis there, happy dogs or something like that. Debbie B, Bondi, get things done. We are doomed. I don't know. I don't have a problem with Pam Bondi. I mean, she's no Matt Gaetz, but just because she like kind of botched the Epstein rollout, when you consider the tie-in and the limitations because the guy's dead and victim.
Well, and how many moving parts she was juggling.
Yeah, and how many moving parts. They were actively doing this RICO thing, and she's like, oh, the Epstein? Well, that's like, you know, that's going to come. Like that's, you know, we're working.
Yeah, that's just sitting on my desk.
Yeah, but of course, MAGA just lit her up and calling for her, you know, resignation and stuff like that. Oh, I think in some cases, like Laura Loomer calls her Pam Blondie. I think it's personal. I don't think it's based off like what she's doing. I think it's personal. And I always am wary of the people who make better the enemy of good, or good the enemy of better, however you want to think of that. Like, yeah, it's not Matt Gaetz, but you know, if Matt Gaetz were in here, you'd be like, well, somebody else has got to come in here and be perfect. Nobody's perfect. Donald Trump's not perfect. You know, if you're criticizing his picadillos, you're going to miss the fact that he's exposing all of this. He's probably going to get some accountability. Exactly. You're going to miss the fact that he extended a huge arm of mercy and justice too when he pardoned the January 6ers. You're going to miss the tax cuts. You're going to miss everything.
You have to set aside all the fruits.
You have to set aside all the fruits and focus on an alleged picture from 2003, you know, published in the Wall Street Journal that was sent to Epstein before anybody knew he was a creep. You know what I mean?
No thanks. I'll eat the fruit basket.
Yeah, I'll take the fruits. So Donald Trump also posted this post yesterday, and this is I'm going to get the order right. Oh, I got a couple. Ron, I think I figured this out a little bit. I think we can.
Wow.
If we can figure out how to make it work, this is pretty good. I like seeing you so close. It's fun. It's like you're here.
I'm 2 feet closer.
Closer. Yeah, exactly. You're right in my face. Okay. So Donald Trump posted this from the Fox News. It was the big weekend show here. So let's take a listen to this.
It was the predicate for everything that we're seeing for the past almost 10 years. You started with the Russia hoax. That led to the indictments. That led to the impeachments. That led to the lawfare that we saw for years. We all witnessed it. And you know who was in bed with the Democrats and Obama? The media. This was the same media that was pushing this entire narrative that the president was somehow a Russian asset. We all know it was false. We all knew when he was president of the United States what he did to Russia. He gave Ukraine Javelin missiles when Obama gave them pillows and blankets. President Trump was the person that was taking in all the shots from the Democrats from 2016, from the second he came down the elevator. And we all knew it was BS. And now we have Tulsi Gabbard that's able to put out the facts. And this is why if you look at the confirmation hearings, who got it the worst? Tulsi was one of the people that got it the worst because they knew exactly what she would do. Uncover the biggest scandal in politics, the insane, asinine Russian dossier that we all knew was false, but led to lawfare and indictments and the raiding of his home. Every American should be up in arms right now.
Harrison, you said it right there. We all knew. And in the last hour, we were discussing this, and we all said we all knew. We knew it, but the media was covering for them, and we couldn't get anyone at the FBI. They all, they all wouldn't admit guilt. They basically, everybody lied. What do you do in that case? What's the way to handle this going forward? Is it prosecutions? Is it a special prosecutor? Is it trying this more in the media that wants to keep covering it up? What do you think?
Well, you try it in the media, and guess what the media did? They hired all these people. Brennan, all of these people, they're all hired, MSNBC and CNN. So the media is going to cover for their colleagues, of course, but we have a DNI and we have a Department of Justice and Attorney General Pam Bondi who is going to look into this and hold people accountable. I am sure of that. I worked for Pam Bondi when I was 22 years old. This is a woman that takes crime seriously. She is not going to abdicate her responsibilities because she doesn't want the Washington Post to say a bad thing about her. She's going to go over it because we have to deliver justice. We have to give the American people their due, because we're the ones, the will of the American voter from 2016 on, who voted for President Trump in overwhelming majorities, had to deal with this. Our country was so divided from these investigations. Like I said before, it was the predicate for everything. Obama's hands are on this. And what is he doing now? He's over here with his wife doing a podcast, walking without flip-flops on the beach, acting like his whole career was everything and a bag of chips. It wasn't. It was the most corrupt presidency we've ever seen. We thought Joe Biden was bad. Now we know who was behind it all. It was Barack Hussein Obama, and we need answers.
We need answers.
Yes, sir.
Pretty good. I had a clip that I was going to play that it's missing.
I think that this coming out is like one of the most vindicating things for what you've been going through for the last 5+ years. And it seems to me like you're owed some kind of kudos somehow or another from somebody.
From somebody.
I don't know.
Check from the DOJ.
I mean, you've been in the center of this conspiracy and trying to like blow the whistle on it, apparently on your like single-handedly this entire time. Because like even the media there, that's like, oh, well, we all knew. It's like, well, where the hell were you for the last 5 years?
It really, like, I'm just a peasant. Like this started out just being peasants, really truly in 2016. But by middle of 2016, I was a protest vote against Hillary Clinton. Okay. I didn't vote for Donald Trump in 2016. I voted against Hillary Clinton. That's what it boiled down to. When Trump gave that speech saying there's elite people who sell you out and blah, blah, blah. And,
I voted for a third party.
Yeah. I mean, I was not sold on Trump like at all. I was just like, what a freaking joke this election is. Like Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Are you kidding me? Well, honestly, it
was a clown show. Remember? It was a clown show.
And honestly and truly, I'm looking at Hillary Clinton and I'm like, I just can't vote for that. I've got so many reasons I cannot vote for that. So I voted for Donald Trump. And by the middle of 2017, I'm like, I'm sold. I was a political science major. No one had ever satisfied me in my political thoughts, right? And the way I saw the world. No one satisfied it. Yeah. And then here comes Donald Trump. The man's a builder. I remember him giving a CPAC speech where he's like, my dad taught us, you go into the job sites, you pick up the nails, you pick up the extra wood. That's how you make money, is you got to save the pennies. If you take care of the pennies, the dollar will take care of itself. And I'm like, that's a man who understands it. I started to see that he was operating cranes. I saw pictures of him operating cranes, lifting metal on skyscrapers. I'm like, do you know what it takes to do that and the respect you have to have? I hear from his son, Don Jr., who's like, yeah, my dad's got this great business and I could just take it over. But he gave me the advice, go out and live your life, son. Like, go find your way, find out who you are, and then come back to the business when you found out who you are. So what did Don Jr. do? He went and moved to Colorado. He started hunting. He started operating D8 dozers and circular saws. I remember him doing an Adam Carolla show being like, play different saws and I'll tell you what they are based on the sound. Circular saw, reciprocating saw, sawzall, right? And he's like, yeah, like I actually have worked with these tools. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's a based family. It's a family that, yes, while being wildly wealthy and taking great vacations, as Donald Trump says, Trump didn't shower them with cash. They were not entitled, I just felt like I saw a man who really was an iconic representation of what the American dream can be. You look at the history of his dad. His dad was wealthy, but he wasn't like Trump wealthy, and then Trump took it and ran. You know why Trump got into luxury instead of low-income housing? Have you heard this? Because Trump's dad was a low-income housing guy. He built a lot of the projects around New York and stuff like that. And so when Trump got involved, he was building the same thing. He was doing the exact same thing his dad does. And he was sitting in one of these, low-income projects that he was about to buy, and a bullet came whizzing through the house and missed him by inches. Like, and he got up and said, never again. He went straight luxury from there on out because he didn't like the neighborhoods. Okay. To me, that's a peasant, right? That's like, yeah, it's not because you're against doing those things or you're bougie. It's because you literally almost got shot cutting a deal inside of one of the apartments or, buildings that you were about to buy. And you're like, I'm going to the high rent district. Okay. So Trump understands crime on the streets. Here's the other thing. He employs thousands of people who are just like us. They just go to work 9 to 5. They live their lives. They make little 401k contributions. He has very low turnover in most of his companies and stuff like that. Why? Because he pays them okay. It's not like he pays them great. I don't know, but he pays them enough to keep them, and they're usually happy. He knows the importance of the doorman, the receptionist, because if you have a bad experience at the reception desk, how are you going to feel about the brand, a luxury brand? So he he gets it. And he took that and he translated it into government. He understood where you had to cut taxes to stimulate growth. He understood the carrots and the sticks of how the world really works. It was a dream. So I saw quickly in Trump a guy who's like, yes, he represents most of my political ideas. He's a populist. I haven't seen a populist run for office since, that governor down in Louisiana 70 years ago. They made a movie about it. I think it's called All the King's Men or something, right? And so I just was so impressed. And then to watch his entire first term be bogged down by this Mueller investigation.
Yeah.
So patently obvious to anyone who looked into it. And I looked into it. I was like, oh, if Trump is a Russian agent, like, we have a big problem here. It was so easy to see through. You just had to look at some of the documents and source it. And it was like, this is a scam. And then, of course, whistleblowers and people in the know come out, and then they get canceled. So you can't follow them on the news anymore. You got to follow them on their private locals channel, and keeping track of all of that. And then by the time 2020 rolls around and we start season 1, remember, that started with me waking up at 4:30 in the morning because I had a full-on construction business, excavation, right? I got to be at the yard at 7:30 a.m. or 7 o'clock a.m. to line the guys out. So I'm going into my office at 4:30 a.m., hitting record, uploading it as I'm driving to work, writing the notes and stuff like that, because to me it was so important to try to share this with people. To be like, look, we're living through a coup. This is like
we're living through fact suppression.
Huh?
It was fact suppression.
Yeah, it was fact suppression. Knowing that we were living through a Julius Caesar type takedown of a leader of the republic, and knowing that it was happening, and like, how do I tell people?
And the media's complicit. What do we do?
The media's complicit. Like, you can't trust the news, Or you didn't trust them because of the whole Iraq war debacle. So watching that, it was like, I got to do something. Back when I was in the ROTC and we would train, and keep in mind, it was the ROTC. We trained with paintball guns. It was kind of a recruiting event. Okay. But it was serious. Like, we would fly in the Blackhawks. I've done that. I've done the little rope thing out of a Blackhawk in a uniform. It was an ROTC uniform, right? But still, I've like mock played the stuff. And one of the things I was kind of known for in my little squad unit, whatever, was like being the front charger. Like, if we were doing a bunker drill, I was always the one that would go, like into the bunker, like, and I'd take the bunker, and they'd be like, dude, if we ever really go to war, you are definitely not coming home.
Yeah, exactly.
But, because I had to be at the front of it. I had to do
You're
it.
the first guy to die in the war movie.
Yeah, dude, when we would go on patrol, that's where I'd always get killed, because I might not be on point, but for whatever reason, it was like, first shot, I'm out, But when we were taking bunkers and if we were on patrol, I was dead. If we were taking bunkers, oftentimes I was the last guy standing, like, I win. Anyways, again, not real Army training. It was ROTC paintball fun, but they took it seriously. I mean, we really did. Like, you know, I got to get it. Like, I'd be dead if I had to go to war. So that's kind of, I was just bunker busting. I was just trying to get some penetration. And then of course you showed up right at 100 episodes where I was starting to question, should I keep doing this? I mean, I'm waking up really early and, you know, and you
definitely.
Yeah, you showed up and you just wanted to watch, threw a microphone in your face. And it's like, let's do this. Way we've gone ever since.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a little vindication. It's not just me. It's Donald Trump. It's so many others that have had to live through this. And again, we're not totally vindicated. Like, there hasn't been accountability, exposure, some light of day. Sure.
Right.
But you still
But
have
this
a lot
sure
of
is a really good taste of hopium.
It is a good taste of hopium. Oh my gosh, it's a taste of hopium. I remember after January 6th, I got back, didn't know I was indicted. A couple days later, I remember one of our longtime listeners, Michael, messaged me and he was like, I'm just so down, like crying. And I got on and I said, it was before he messaged me after this, but I got on and I said, listen, we're peasants. We know what's real. I know that the election just didn't go our way. And again, this is before I knew I was indicted. The election didn't go our way. Take a breath. Look around you. You're safe. You're warm. You're fed. You've got family that loves you. This is what's real. Remember what's real. What's happening over there doesn't have to affect you if you keep your mind about you, keep your perspective. I took that advice that I gave to everyone for myself every day. As the world crashed down, as I sat under indictment, as I had my bank accounts, locked out, as I had IRS audits, as I had health department attacks on my business license, all of that happened. I just was like, it's okay. I have a family. I have people who love me. I'm warm. I'm safe. It's not real. Slowly but surely, I didn't just know that they were a fraud. I started to see the smoke monster of what they are, the illusion of all that. Do they have power? Sure. But that power comes through this administration of law, right? And it was like, okay, so I'm fighting this law and all these allegedly good people that are implementing it. I've got to make peace with them. I kept that in mind all the time. They're real. Don't let some other issue that's not real come between your equitable relationships with people. It's what helped me navigate the prison system. It's what helped me navigate the court system, right? Being able to see the smoke monster. I remember standing out in the hallway the morning before, or maybe it was the night before trial. We had a pre-trial hearing and then the judge was like, please, for the love of everything, go outside and make a plea deal. Like, he was actually just adamant that the prosecution make a plea deal with me before we go to trial. Remember, I didn't represent myself. I presented myself and I didn't argue anything. I accepted everything. And then I would be like, Judge, how can we settle this today? Judge, what controversies are left to adjudicate? Judge, have I not accepted the offers, presentments of the court, the clerk, and the prosecutor and return them for settlement and closure? Judge, doesn't that create a contractual obligation on the part of the court, the clerk, and the prosecutor to settle and discharge this matter? Judge, how can we settle this today? Judge, can we make a deal? Judge, over and over and over. Not about, Judge, I didn't mean to go to January 6th. Judge, I didn't push a cop. I didn't do any of that. I was just straight up. I've accepted it. What can we do to settle it? Man to man. Who's making a claim against me? Did I hurt, harm, injure anybody? Can I make restitution? Like, I'm going to settle it like I would settle a conflict with my neighbor. And so the judge was desperate for the prosecution to make a plea deal. He did not want that thing to go to trial. And they don't want anything to go to trial, really, right? So I sat out in the hallway and this was just a funny moment to me. The prosecutor
wanders over.
Caitlin and Courtney, they come up and they're like, the only deal we're going to offer you is guilty on all charges. Guilty on all 8 charges. And I'm like, no. And she's like, do you understand what's going to happen? Blah, blah, blah. And I go, yeah, I've seen Law and Order. That was my response to the prosecutors. The Imperial Cap. Huh?
That sounds so Simpsons.
That's exactly what I said. And they put it in a motion the next day. They said he refuses an offer. And when asked if he understands what's going to happen, he said, I've seen Law and Order. I was like, I have.
Oh, that's funny.
Anyways, I just didn't see them as anything other than apparatchiks for this running coup. What are you going to do about it?
Well, what kind of plea deal is that? If, like, our offer is you're guilty on all charges. Well, that's not a plea deal.
You know what's funny is I could have taken the deal, but the next morning they ended up dropping one of the charges anyways. So I was only convicted on 7 of 8. Again, point is, I, in my opinion, disrupted them a lot. And to the point that one of the lead prosecutors, Caitlin Clamon, who when I started presenting myself, they dropped the one prosecutor, Angela Buckner, who was a sex crimes prosecutor. They put her on my case, right? And then they dropped her and they brought in a prosecutor that I believe was coming out of Chicago University that had a tenure in teaching commercial law, because I was discharging my case. I wasn't arguing my case. So they brought in a commercial law attorney, and she did some other cases too. I think she was building her resume, but either way, she got assigned to my case and she got assigned to another guy that was doing the same method I was using equity, named Bruno. And so she came on both of our cases. Out of Chicago University, they pulled out this commercial law attorney to prosecute J6 crimes. Well, I've seen Law and Order thing after I'd been doing all this acceptance and stuff. The morning of trial, she tried to get it postponed. And then when the judge wouldn't postpone it, because remember, I was way blown past my speedy trial clock. I'd reserved my rights, and the judge acknowledged I had not told the speedy trial. Unlike every other federal defendant in the entire federal system, I had successfully gotten on the record that I had not told the Speedy Trial Act, and they would not come to a determination as to how many days it'd been, because they only have 7 days to put you on trial. And I was at, like 400 days since I'd stopped tolling the speedy trial, and I was 1,000 days since indictment. So the judge wouldn't move the case. He scheduled my federal hearing with 2 weeks, my federal trial within 2 weeks. I went from not competent to stand trial in their minds to you're competent and here's a trial in 3 weeks, which my standby attorney that the court assigned was like, I've never seen that. 3 weeks for a federal trial. You couldn't even attempt to start to represent yourself, right? You have no way to be able to do that, to have a 3-week notice. But again, they were rushing it through because it was just unique to my case. I had them pigeonholed on the speedy trial issue. So the morning of trial.
Well, and you weren't operating in a standard manner either,
Yeah, but I wasn't argumentative. They couldn't make claim against me and be like, oh, you're doing this wrong. I was just asking questions.
Exactly.
Why can't we settle this today? Judge multiple times, please go make a deal. Prosecution, make a deal with them. Don't make me do this, right? So get to the morning of, she tries to postpone the trial. Judge denies the motion. So then she removes herself from the trial because she caught COVID. So we had a hearing. She goes home, tries to delay the thing, and then goes, oh, I got COVID. Someone else will be coming in. And they brought in another lady to fulfill her role. And she just read a script. She didn't know my case. She hadn't looked at my case file. She didn't know anything. She wasn't on my trial at all until literally we were doing jury selection. Unbelievable. Right? Just seeing the smoke monster. It's like, oh, I'm okay. Even in prison, many times, even when I was shackled up being transported, it's like, this will end. This will not last forever. There will be life after this. You know what I mean? And just keeping that perspective to get to this point where it's like, hey, now we have disclosure. Now I can actually show you a whole bunch of stuff. And I could go on for hours and hours and hours doing something like this, right? We could go through every document and review it. There's other people that will do that. I'm just here to show you that happened. It's verified. Now there isn't anything stopping us from getting to accountability. There's no more disclosure necessary for them to execute on these criminal referrals and whatnot. So now it's just a matter of seeing if Donald Trump and company do it or not. We'll see.
Yep.
So yeah, am I vindicated? I hope so. I don't go so far as to be like,
so close.
Yeah, I won't go so far as to be like, I exposed all of this. No, I'm just a peasant bystander watching this. We're only as good as the information we have. The problem is not a lot of people have good information. And we fall victim to it too. I was totally open all through this to be wrong. Often wrong, never in doubt. I've said it a million times, right? You're not necessarily going to get everything perfect from me. You're just going to get authenticity. I'm going to share what I know at this moment as if it's the most important thing. And it might change. I change my mind all the time. In matters of fashion, swim with the current. In matters of principle,
today's feeling pretty good.
Yeah. In matters of principle, stand like a rock, Thomas Jefferson said. And that's it. I just stood on my principle here. Look, I think this is a big running coup. I wasn't willing to give an inch. I wasn't willing to take a plea deal. I wasn't willing to concede anything. You'll never heard me say that Trump didn't win the 2020 election. You'll never hear me say that Trump didn't have a running coup, because I have not seen evidence to the contrary. It might be uncomfortable for some people, but I've not seen evidence to the contrary. And who am I to challenge the truth? Who am I to do that? That, to my mind, when you look at these posters I would see at Walmart growing up, right? They'd say like the Lord, Jehovah, Counselor, all the names of God, right? And you'd go down, and one of those names, and always big bold, was truth. The Christian God, to me, the embodiment of Jesus Christ, the incarnation he was the embodiment of truth. So if I know something to be true, to not acknowledge it is, in my mind, the definition of mocking God.
Yes. But to embrace that is to become a disciple.
Yes. How many times I heard other January 6ers say this exact quote: my life went to shit the moment I decided to embrace the truth. I'm just trying to follow the truth. I just think it's important that the truth be known. I heard that over and over and over again to guys who put everything on the line. Some of them took plea deals. Some of them did things because the incredible amount of pressure that gets on you, it makes you question reality itself. It is that show, The Matrix. You take the blue pill or the red pill, right? When you take that red pill, the awakening is painful. It is painful. Think about the symbolism of the movie, getting flushed out of the matrix, the destabilization, the vomiting. That's what happens when you embrace truth. That wise man who embodies truth once said, I don't come to unite, I come to divide. Because it is the red pill and the blue pill. Do you live in the illusion, the matrix, the world of attachment, thinking this is everything there is? Or do you live in the truth where you know this is just a stopping place along the way, where you recognize that all we are is people? There is no such thing as the law. That's a construct we made up. We made that up. It's not real. A couple centuries ago, it was the Code of Hammurabi. That's one of the things I really love about this book, right? People will really criticize me. I've taken some heat about liking this book. Yuval Noah Harari, Sapiens. His second book was called Homo Deus, right? This is a brief history of mankind. I'm not saying every word in here is historically truth, but I'm saying it's pretty much the closest I think to describe the evolution of humans from not just a biological standpoint, but a sociological standpoint. And one of the things he does compare and contrast in here is he compares the United States Declaration of Independence with the Code of Hammurabi. They both claim divine right. One says it's divine to have slaves, and there's 3 classes of people, and rights of women, rights of men. And why? Because God told Hammurabi. And then you got the other one going, these are unalienable rights from our creator. Inalienable. The whole concept of rights is a construct. You don't have rights. It's the law of the jungle. Might makes right. That's it. Right? So he spells that out, how we make up these fictions. The law is not the truth. I am the truth. Ron, you are the truth. All we have are our one-on-one and social interactions and relationships. What we agree to collectively is what becomes our matrix, our reality. Here in the United States, we all agree to drive on the right side of the road. Why? I don't know. It's the matrix we live in. We just choose to. Is there a reason you have to? No. Is the left side bad? No. I mean, we've got listeners in England. They drive on the left side of the road, freaking weirdos. You know what I mean? Like, why not? Why not? Different languages, different matrices. I went down to Brazil. It's a whole different world down there. They don't even talk about our Constitution in Brazil. Like, they don't even know who George Washington or Thomas Jefferson is. It's crazy.
Different units of measure, too.
Different units of measure. Yeah, metric versus imperial, which, by the way, imperial is so weird, but screw the king. Anyways, it is just understanding that. Like, we're in a matrix. The only thing that's real is us. That's why this is the peasant's perspective. There's no titles here. There's no one better or lesser than another. There's just who you are. It's meritocracy, 100%. I don't want to be in charge of anything. I don't care. It's so funny. I've become more and more, I don't know what the word is, like mentally resolute, mentally tough. I don't give a crap what you think about me. I don't care. I have literally been the villain in the story and I've been the hero in the story. And I'm just Taylor. I'm not a hero. I'm not a villain. I'm just Taylor. That's it. I'm just a dude trying to be authentic and live an integrated life. That's all it is. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Right? I've been good. I've been bad. I've been slandered. I've been praised.
I'm just Ron.
I get people often, doing these. I have a talent stack. Clearly, I can present and talk and extemporaneously do this stuff, right? People praise me. It doesn't go to my head. It did when I was young, right? I like praise. Who doesn't like praise? I just got this new dog, pet behind the ears. Good girl, sit. Good girl, I don't care. Your opinion of me will not stop me from doing this or make me do it. I've heard people say my show sucks. I've had people say the show's great. I'm just going to be me, boo. You do you, boo. I'll do me. That's the way I see it. My job is just to get along, to not cast stones. He who's without sin, don't cast the first stone. Well, I got my own problems. I try so hard to just live in line with truth. And seeing stuff like this, I saw it as the truth. That happened. Those people did that. And the effect of that was going to be human trafficking across the border. It was going to be inflation and economic damage, right? All of that was real.
Yeah.
That was real. To those kids that got trafficked, and it ties back to this running coup and, the people that went in jail, the Svetlana Lakovas, the different people the Caputos, the Roger Stones, the different people whose lives were put on public display and destroyed under completely false allegations. My situation, I went to the Capitol. I pushed a gate, right? Should have been a $50 ticket. If I'd have been 30 days in jail, I'd have been absolutely livid and thought it was so unjust. But at 7 years, I was like, this ain't about me. This has nothing to do with me. You don't care about pushing a gate. I live in Seattle, for goodness sakes. They took over the East Precinct. I'm not even sure anybody's gone to jail ever for that.
No.
Okay? There were murders in Chaz. I don't know if there was ever any accountability. We watched Chaz the Warlord handing out guns from the back of a Tesla. Seattle City's got gun control. I don't know how that's working out. You know what I mean?
Well, we should wrap it for today.
Yep.
But this is a great message.
All right.
This is a great day.
Last little video here, just for a little bit of inspiration. And Trump said this a long time ago. I think he's been on the hunt for a while.
Focus. I was the hunted, and now I'm the hunter. Focus.
So we're going to watch him do some hunting. We'll see how good he is. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining the show today. We really appreciate it. Ron, I'm so glad you joined. I was getting nervous. It's so much better with you here. And anyways, we'll talk to you guys again tomorrow. I can't believe it. This one we pulled off from beginning to end. Like the stream, technology. I played the clips. I'm happy.
We might be AI.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you later. Again, I do need to make the traditional announcements. Leftbehindandwithout.org. Of all the things that have happened to me, my wife and I have said completely, the best revenge is a life well lived. We do not want to become the things we hate. Don't want to become the things we hate. When leftbehindandwithout.org was started, it was premised on the idea of, here I am in prison, the sole breadwinner for 18, 19 years. And all of a sudden my wife is left with 5 kids at home who have after school activities, sports programs, all those different things. And she's looking at the budget because, when the income goes to zero, you start going, ooh, I'm living on charity. So she's looking at things like cut my son swimming. He swims 5 days a week. He qualified for the Junior Olympics. Oh, we can't afford it. What do you do? It's kids in Boy Scouts, kids at YMCA memberships. So that gave birth to the need because someone called my wife and said, I will pay for your kids' sports stuff, your kids' activities. And that was like the biggest relief to think that my kids' trajectory could be curbed and stay in the right direction. Mm-hmm. So when leftbehindwithout.org was created, it was to help children with incarcerated parents do those school activities because it's a universal problem. People who go to prison don't usually have a lot of wealth behind them to keep paying for that kind of stuff. And so currently there's over 100 kids plus, I'm not sure exactly the number, that are involved in the program getting help from this. Imagine that. They took me away from my family for 14 months, but there's the possibility that 100 kids can be influenced to avoid the generational cycles of incarceration. What a gift. What a gift. Was it worth it for that? It might have been.
Yeah.
It might have been. You know, when people talk about going to war to secure our freedom, well, if I had to go to prison to help those kids avoid it themselves, that's make America great again.
Yeah.
Right. So they've been there. The account for Left Behind and Without.org with all those kids is obviously running a little light. They've got a lot of kids in programs. She's got new people doing intakes in on the regular. And
Summer's in full swing.
yeah, she did a fundraiser yesterday at some wine and dine meet and greet thing in Seattle with another nonprofit that collected, combined. Or anyways, it was a meet and greet thing. They did a little bit of fundraising, but one of the things that happened this weekend, and this really touched me. There are people that I either wrote letters to in prison or somehow knew our story and donated to our Give, Send, Go, who then went over to Left Behind and Without and have made reoccurring monthly payments of like $100.
Nice. Wow.
That's enough money to put a kid through a camp, to pay their subscriptions. And this weekend, my wife opened the mail and there was a check for $500.
Wow. That's a lot of cash.
A lot of cash. But she said, this person's on a reoccurring payment, but there's a family that has multiple kids that have different things, and she's sponsoring them. And I was like, all I do every day is talk about it on here. I just mention it. But to see that actually happen and to see that generosity, it brought me to an emotional state. So I encourage you to go check out Left Behind and Without.org. It is the legacy that my wife, through her experience, is trying to leave, and that for me is that embodiment of a life well lived is the best revenge. That we're not going to become the thing we hate. We're trying to lift society, not drag it down. We don't want to rule the ashes. Nobody wants that. We want the golden age. And that starts with those little individual things. So find your hill and go die on it. If you can make small contributions to Left Behind and Without.org, you have no idea how far those go. They're partnered with the YMCA and they get discounted memberships. Even as little as like a $10 or $15 donation might mean that a kid whose dad or mother is incarcerated has a place to go after school, a safe place where there's constructive activities. My son on the
end the cycle.
In the cycle. My son on the swim team, who was able to continue with that. He swims 5 days a week. His coach is this amazing man named Ron. And when I left, Ron saw the vacuum of influence on my teenage son, the most tender times of his life. And Ron's great. And I'm back home and I'm able to help. But my son is, we were involved in Boy Scouting, and he's gotten to his Life Scout, and he hasn't really wanted to do Eagle. He hasn't really seen the need for it. And, he's focused on swimming, Junior Olympics, stuff like that. And Ron, his coach, heard that Ben was close to getting his Eagle. So he pulled Ben aside and says, Ben, I think it would be a good thing for you to get the Eagle. I think it's important for you to do that. And Ben is deciding, I hope he continues through with the decision, to go ahead and pursue his Eagle. He's got the time to finish it. He's only 16, so he's got a couple years. But he's right there on the cusp of being able to do it, and he just kind of lost interest. But Ron, who developed some of that positive influence and mentorship, was able to steer him in a way that I really wasn't. Okay. I didn't put a lot of pressure on him to do it either, but at the same time, there's that relationship. Many people can look back and think about the relationships they had with coaches and things like that. So Left Behind and Without.org. For everything that happened, this whole coup, the vindication, what's really validating is knowing that in a real, tangible, by your fruits you shall know them way, that we've taken that, what was meant for evil, as Genesis chapter 50 describes, and we've turned it to good. So take a look at that. I just really want to encourage people. All right, that's it. I'm done. We'll talk to you guys again tomorrow. Anything else, Ron?
Nope. Love y'all.
All right, we'll talk to you guys later.